We're about to pull back the curtain on what might just be America's ultimate lever of power. It's an organization built from the ground up to operate in the shadows, shaping world events from way, way in the background. This is the story of the Central Intelligence Agency.
I mean, look at this quote. From its absolute first day, secrecy wasn't just part of the job. It was the job. It was created to do all the things a democracy, just couldn't do out in the open. It was designed to fight a totally new kind of war.
And its mandate? Well, it was as broad as it was vague. We're talking about running on a black budget, basically off-the-books money. Laundering power through shell companies, offshore accounts, you name it. Its resume includes toppling governments, propping up dictators, and now, in our time, using algorithms and drones to hunt down its targets.
So, you gotta ask, how did this even happen? How did a nation that's supposedly founded on transparency end up creating an agency that literally thrives in the dark? All right, let's dig into the history. Okay, so picture this. It's right after World War II. Europe is just rubble. The Soviet Red Army is swallowing up half the continent, and America has this sudden terrifying realization it's flying blind. It has no permanent peacetime spy agency. So in 1947, President Truman says, "We need one." And just like that, a weapon for the Cold War is forged.
Now, to stop communism in its tracks, the U.S. comes up with the Marshall Plan. I mean, look at that number. A massive economic aid package to rebuild Europe. Now, officially, it was all about food, fuel, infrastructure, the good stuff. But unofficially, it was all about buying influence.
And here's the kicker. This is how the brand new agency got its seed money. There was this quiet little arrangement to divert 5%, just 5%, of all Marshall Plan funds directly to the CIA. This wasn't just a budget, people. This was a bottomless, off-the-books war chest. And boy, did they put that money to work right away. The main goal? Stop communism from taking hold in key places like Italy and France. So what they do? They bribed politicians, they funded labor unions that were on their side, they paid newspapers to print propaganda, anything and everything to make sure the post-war world tilted in America's favor.
But, money wasn't everything. In those early days, the CIA was basically the new kid on the block going up against the absolute masters of the spy game, the Soviet KGB. And it did not go well. The CIA would try to parachute agents behind the Iron Curtain, and mission after mission was a total disaster. The agents were either captured or killed almost instantly. The problem was deep. It was systemic. The agency was just full of Soviet moles. It got so bad that one of their own internal reports admitted the CIA was, and this is a quote, fatally penetrated. Think about what that means. The KGB knew their plans before they even launched them. It was beyond humiliating. It was deadly. So it became pretty clear pretty fast. They couldn't beat the Soviets at their own game. The whole human spy thing? The KGB was just better. So the CIA did something smart. They pivoted. They decided to lean into America's real strength, building absolutely mind-blowing, groundbreaking technology. And that pivot, it produced this masterpiece, the U-2 spy plane. This thing was a technological miracle. It flew at 70,000 feet, so high that no Soviet jet or missile could even dream of touching it. And its cameras, so powerful they could snap a picture of something 2 feet wide from 13 miles up. All of a sudden, the CIA had eyes deep inside the Soviet Union. It completely redrew the strategic map. All right, so with all this new confidence and these incredible new toys, the CIA's mission started to change. It wasn't just about spying anymore. It was about shaping world events. The agency kicked off a global campaign of covert action, basically toppling governments it didn't like. But this kind of unchecked power, it came at a huge price.
And it was a busy few decades. 1953, they engineer a coup in Iran, all about securing oil. A year later, 1954, they do it again in Guatemala. Of course, there were some spectacular failures, too, like the absolute disaster at the Bay of Pigs in Cuba. And then, in 1973, they backed the bloody military coup in Chile. I mean, this was brutal, messy, hands-on work.
And the darkness wasn't just happening overseas. Right here at home, the CIA ran one of its most infamous programs, Project MKUltra. This was a top secret and frankly deeply disturbing mind control program. They experimented on unwitting American citizens,
People who had no idea what was happening, using LSD, hypnosis, even psychological torture. And for what? It was all part of this bizarre quest to create a real-life Manchurian candidate, a programmable assassin. Just wild.
Fast forward to the 1980s, and this whole culture of secrecy blows up in their face with the Iran-Contra affair. This scandal basically laid the agency's entire shadow architecture bare for the world to see. I mean, get this. They secretly sold weapons to their enemy Iran, then they used the illegal profits from that sale to fund anti-communist rebels in Nicaragua. And the whole time, they just flat out lied to Congress about all of it.
So then the Berlin Wall falls, the Soviet Union collapses in 1991, and suddenly, the CIA's main reason for existing is gone. They lost their defining enemy and kind of had an identity crisis. But that feeling of what do we do now, it didn't last long. A totally new kind of enemy was emerging. One that didn't have a country or an army or even borders. It was a global network, and its name was Al-Qaeda.
And then came September 11th, 2001. That new enemy struck America with a force that no one saw coming. Nearly 3,000 people were killed. In an instant, that event plunged the CIA into a new, all-consuming mission. Find who did this and make them pay. The war on terror had begun. This new war forced the CIA to completely reinvent itself. The old playbook, sending in special forces, using car bombs, it was all too risky, too messy. So they developed a new way, a way that was clean, remote, and just brutally efficient. In a very short time, the agency transformed itself into a high-tech hunter-killer organization.
And this is what that looks like. This is the modern kill chain. First, the agency sucks in just massive amounts of data, phone signals, satellite pictures, you name it, to pinpoint a target. Then they track that person in real time. And finally, a pilot sitting in an air-conditioned container, maybe in Nevada, launches a missile that hits a compound thousands of miles away in Pakistan. This exact process is what finally led them to Osama bin Laden in 2011. That operation to get bin Laden was a real turning point. It proved that the future of spying wasn't just about drones in the sky. It was about a whole new battlefield, one fought entirely with information. The big pivot from human spies to powerful software was now basically complete.
And the key weapon in this new digital war is a piece of software called Palantir. Fun fact, it was funded early on by the CIA's own venture capital firm. The real magic of Palantir is its almost scary ability to connect the dots. It can take in trillions of tiny data points and weave them all together into a single living map. This lets analysts see hidden networks and even predict threats before they actually happen.
And make no mistake, this isn't just your typical government-contractor relationship. This quote from Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, really pulls back the curtain. It shows a deep ideological partnership between Silicon Valley and the intelligence world. They don't just see themselves as vendors, they see themselves as partners in making sure America stays on top.
And so here we are. The CIA finds itself right back where it started, in an era of great power competition. But this isn't just a simple replay of the Cold War. The new rivalry with China is totally different. China isn't just an ideological rival. It's a near-peer competitor in technology. So this new fight isn't going to be about spies and tanks. It's going to be about AI, cyber warfare, and hypersonic weapons. Which really brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? The CIA was built for a world of secrets, but we don't live in that world anymore. We live in an age of total information, where data is absolutely everywhere, and AI can see patterns no human could ever hope to spot. So in a world like that, what does the word covert even mean anymore? What's the point of a shadow agency when there are no shadows left?